Hey everybody, we have Lisa with us again tonight, and so you are in for a treat as usual with both of them. I was just telling Lisa it seems like they just never have an off week because they are always, both of them have just some amazing things to share with us. And so Lisa and Curtis are actually back in the States. Am I right with that, Lisa?
Yes, I got back late Sunday night, and I flew in via Japan so I could get home a couple days earlier because my daughter was graduating this weekend.
Awesome.
And it was horrific turbulence. It was just really bad coming out of Japan. And then coming into Dallas was when the tornadoes were coming in, so it was very bumpy on the way down. So I didn't sleep much on the plane, and I didn't sleep very well Sunday night because I was celebrating how alive I was after that airplane. So last night was up very late, but I see I'm over the jet lag, and Curtis just got in maybe an hour ago.
Wow.
And came by here to eat and catch up on the way. So that I'm a little bit late, I must say, but folks, for those of you that don't know, my house is being renovated. If you look at behind me, that color is not the color of the walls. That is the base coat for faux painting. And everywhere you go, there's things in disarray, and all the new floors are in. Nothing ever happens on time. This was all gonna be done by the time I got here. So when I came upstairs, I'm on like two of those card tables as my computer and stuff, so I would have something set up when I got back. Thank you, Steve, my husband. And I realized as I went to start this that I was looking into the webcam that wasn't. So I had to go pull a webcam out of a box. It's not the one I usually use, which is plug and play. This one had to install. So I apologize for being late, but the cool thing is we always find a way to get it done. And that's sort of the theme of what we do in network marketing anyway, is find a way to get it done and launch and fix along the way, build your airplane on the way down. Don't get caught up in perfection. It will never be. And y'all were with me last week, and that was fun training. And I'm anxious, before we get going, to send them in Broome. If any of you went ahead and did the TED Talk experiment and what you're finding, what results you're having, how it made you think differently, or how you use it to impact your business, or create a training of your own built around what you've gleaned there. So if you've got, if you haven't done it, go ahead and give it a try. If you have done it but haven't, just jotted off a note to Broome, then get that done. And if you have jotted off a note to Broome and it hasn't been forwarded to me, then Broome, please send me those. But what we were going to talk about tonight is the seasons of life, and that comes over into network marketing. Human beings, we always talk about your next 90 days or your first 90 days. By the way, that first 90 days for me is the first 90 days you get serious. I've had people do their first 90 days, 180 days in, a year and a half in. But everything we talk about is always in 90-day cycles. And the reason is human beings, more than any other creature, operate in 90-day cycles because we're here for all of them. Bears during the winter cycle, they go into a cave and they skip it. But as human beings, we have learned to build things to protect us from the elements. And we've created all these artificial things. So we go through all the seasons, and we do operate that way. And it's a great thing for businesses, but it's also important to be cognizant of what it means to businesses. And let me explain why it's a great thing for businesses. It's always good to work in spurts with a long-term goal in mind, but to have short spurts in which I call measuring posts to see where you're at. For example, Christmas comes on December 25th. So as human beings, we are all of us building to that cycle. Because at certain times of year, if you live in the United States, around Halloween, everything starts to change. That Thanksgiving is going to come soon. Right even before Halloween, you see all the pumpkins go up, and then you see them come down, and you see the bells and things start to go out, which right after Thanksgiving, or even around Thanksgiving, start to become Christmas lights. And that tells us, typically, if you're in the U.S., that the weather is colder. It's going to be it's moving into a cold season. It's telling us to get with people. It's telling us that there are going to be great sales at the store, but we're all going to be throwing things over at each other, trying to get through it. And it tells us that if you're not in retail, that's probably not your best season for recruiting, let's say. At Christmas, I used to always say before I got into network marketing, Romy, that I don't sell toys, and I don't sell, resort wear, and I don't sell anything anybody can wrap up and put under a tree. because this was when, my pre-network marketing life. So I knew that that time of year was not going to create a lot of new business because the world's attention was on all those things I just mentioned. But it was a great time of year to set up the next year. There's more to this business than recruiting, and a lot of people don't realize that. I was actually helping somebody put together a systematic training the other day, and they sent me their material, and they said, what do you think? And I said, it's really good, but it's a little one-dimensional because network marketing is not just about recruiting. And if you think it's just about recruiting, you'll always be recruiting. Because network marketing is about, yes, introducing new people, but also new people to make a decision, and a lot of them might be to be a customer. It's about working with your new people to create depth in your organization. It's about creating culture so that we can all identify ourselves as this team, because whenever we go to do something great, a team united with a common goal, knowing what victory looks like and knowing who the enemy is. And in the case of network marketing, the enemy is poverty. The enemy is people that think that they have no choice to change their life, that think they're held back by lack of education, or held back because they don't have enough money to start a business, or held back because they've never done anything on their own, or held back because they're not a great speaker, or whatever it is they think they're not. Marketing is the business of whatever you are is great as long as you're willing to put in an above average effort doing that, because you're not in business by yourself and other people will come to join you. And today, with all the tools and everything that we have, really, you don't even have to be as good at recruiting as you used to be, because the person who can really create all these other things that I've talked about over time will build a much larger organization with far few personal recruits than the person who doesn't pay attention to any of those things, but is always recruiting the new person to replace the person that's quitting because that person didn't have their expectations managed, or because they didn't feel like they were part of something. The number one thing people want is to be a part of something. So as you move into summer is an interesting time. Weight loss becomes very big. People are thinking about the outdoors, things that require more time to understand. They maybe don't have as much, but you have a multitude of people that are in your organization, and they're already your customers, that are aware of a lot. But the more information that they get, the more bonded to the program they become, the more connected you are with them, the more likely your customers to try that new product that they've not tried before. And that creates revenue. The more likely your new people are to go to more meetings, to participate more, to bring their friends to participate, to get people in front of the information, albeit however slow that they start. So I always say that when you move into the summer, unless, as I said, if you're in the weight loss business, this is a great season for you. But actually not when summer gets here, because if they haven't already lost the weight for summer, they've already decided they didn't. So I should say spring-ish is a great season if you have any weight loss. When you market the type of products that you guys do that have such a multitude of well-being and good health, people want that all year round. But not everybody's aware of every single product, or what every single product can do for them, or of exactly how the comp plan works if they're in the business, or how to most effectively build to their comp plan. And I always tell people, in those times when maybe it's like Christmas time or whatever, although you sell a product that would make a great Christmas present, but again, it's all seasonal to different people. When you're in those seasons, or maybe you've just come off a big killer month, Eric always talks about the 90-day run and the 90-day blitz, and usually we put those preceding events. But it's very difficult to do two of them back to back. I did it once, and I was a lot younger then. The 90-day blitz I would always run in my business, still do, but I never ran a 180-day blitz. I think I would, since I'm 20 years ago. So if you're coming off an explosive month, a big convention month, very typically, the next month, it's not that business goes down. It just doesn't have the same crazy freneticness that running toward that goal did, because now you're on the other side of it. And this is a good time. And what a lot of people miss this is, it's great to hit the goal, but what does a champion do when they win the race or they meet their goal? They stop, they recover a little bit, they can keep their eye on the prize, and then they sit down and say, okay, what's the next goal? And when you're in network marketing, as you're advancing in rank, the next goal starts to become more about your leadership and empowering others to learn and lead than it does about your personal production. Because some goals we can reach ourselves. Some, no matter how good you are, require a team, and not just a team of people that follow you. It's great to have people that have faith in you and follow you, but it's empowering other leaders so they in turn can have people that are following them who are following you. And this is how your groups expand. Because expansion is not just bigger numbers. It's leadership that is emerging to manage, empower, and solidify the numbers. So as you come off of this event and you sit down, when you go into the space, what you want to do is sit down and say, okay, what's the next goal? How do I get there? Well, first whose goals in my team align with mine? In other words, who is on the leadership track, running the same race I'm running, or even maybe running faster than me? Because that's the first thing I want to do is connect with those people. Why? Because 5 can take care of 5,000 if they're working together and they come up with things that excite, empower, and move people along the road that happen in group. It's kind of like what we're doing right now. I'm always thrilled when people are here live. This is very odd for me because it's the first one I've done of these that hasn't been in the morning, because I'm usually, in Hong Kong. So it's very interesting to be back working at night. I wasn't working at night on virtual stuff over there because everybody here was asleep, and over there, not a lot of people really, they're very out and about. So if you were doing anything, it would be, again, in your morning, which is usually when it happens. So it's a very excellent time to lock arms. When we do a thing, when we do a call, when we do something like this, I don't know how many people are watching live, but I'm thrilled for you, those of you that are, and thanks for taking time out of your evening. And I suspect a lot more people, because of technology today, are watching this in replay. And then we don't know how often they'll go back to it and revisit it. So this is working with people in group. I'm working with Broome individually and working with her to still help. So she's got somebody to bounce her stuff off of so she can work with her leaders. When we do this, we're working with everybody. And when you have systematic things like this in place that happen every single week, are people consistently watching in? I love binge watching Grey's Anatomy. I love binge watching Glee. I'm so excited about Netflix. It really doesn't work that well in network marketing. It's always great to be getting new information, but it's not that great to go back and try to watch 10 weeks worth of stuff in one day. It's too much on the brain. And a lot of what we do is go out, learn it, invest in the education with your time, learn it, teach it to someone else, help them teach it to someone else, adjust, see how that worked, and then go find out what the next thing is, because the next thing will usually build on the thing from before. So it's greatly informative to be able to go watch 10 of them at once, but not going to be nearly as effective. It doesn't matter when you start. You want to be on a path that makes sense. So, it's a good time to start evaluating the growth of your group by evaluating your performance at leading that group. And that doesn't mean looking in a mirror and writing down everything you're doing wrong. I hate negative language. Remember what we talked about last week? Speak in the language of the person you choose to become. So the question is always, how can I be a more effective leader? How can I create more efficient results so that I can create more time for me to invest in other people who are also investing in me by giving me their time? That's a question. I'm friends with a lot of the top earners in the world, and I hope, and I bet if I interviewed them, I would find out that they are still asking those questions. After 20 years, I know that I am. So I never look at what I did to screw up, primarily because I've had so many screw-ups. If I looked at that, I would quit and just be very angry at myself. But what I look at is those times when I wasn't as effective as I thought I wanted to be, or where it didn't work out exactly the way that I wanted it to. And with a positive look toward the future, I start saying, what could be better? How can I get more people involved so they know all that's available to them? People get more involved. The more people are engaged, the more involved they become. The more involved they become, the more that it gets under their skin, the more it becomes we, not they. You want to know when somebody's really adopted and into your business and it's their business? It's when they stop talking about, let's say, the company saying, oh, they have this great plan and they have these great products. And oh, they do this trip every year. When they start saying, oh my gosh, we have these great products and we have this great plan. Every year we have this trip that's available to everybody who does X, Y, and Z. When you start to hear that, you are so on the right track. When you start to hear it 3-4 levels below you, your duplication is on the right track. So results are important, and we don't ever want to, you have to follow the results, not the people who talk and maybe don't do anything, but results will follow language and input that you put into your head. So what I would say is, now that we've come off this event, everybody's patting themselves on the back. They're excited. You should be. You accomplished great things. The numbers are through the roof. And rank advancements happening left and right. Celebrate it. But now that we've celebrated it, have we sat down and said, okay, now let's go back and find out, we're comfortable now. You know, when I first looked at being a jade or a ruby or a silver or a bronze or a diamond or a blue diamond, that was uncomfortable territory. Hadn't done that yet, but I'm here. I'm kind of comfortable now. What's the next uncomfortable place? And how am I going to go there? And how am I going to get there? Start to go out among your leaders and say, you know, where are you at? Where do you want to be? How can we work together to do better? Because guess what the good news is? When I help you, if we solve your problem, it fixes mine too. That's what I love about networking. I always like to go to the very newest people, because if I solve their problem, I've solved everybody in the team's problem. Because new people are the lifeblood of the business, but not signing up tons of new people that are still new people. It's new people that were excited enough to join you, that are then put on the road so that they become enthusiastic about what they're doing rather than excited about it. Excitement is, oh, it's new. Oh, I've never seen this before. Oh my goodness, the world's going to be become. And excitement fades very quickly. Just take a kid for ice cream and talk to them an hour after you get home, and they tell you the next thing they want you to do. Like, but I took you for ice cream. Yeah, but that was before. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? Enthusiasm, which basically means filled up with the joy for what you are doing, versus excited because you have a picture in your head that may or may not be in reality. When you can build enthusiasm is built on involvement. Enthusiasm is fueled by knowledge. Enthusiasm is fueled by results, good and bad if the attitude is there, because there are no bad results if they lead you to be able to be more clear to get to the next result. So here would be my challenge to everybody. Whatever your goal or your dream is, raise it. Your ultimate one. You know, if it terrifies you, it might just be big enough. But because I've made you pick a bigger goal, you get more time. This wasn't that I want you to have a bigger goal for the next 90 days. I want you to have a bigger goal for the next 6 months, because when you work backwards, how is that going to change your plan for what you have to accomplish in the next 90 days in order to stay on track for this new bigger goal that you are fully capable of accomplishing? You know, make it a practice. Identify the leaders in your business. They don't necessarily always have the biggest check, that are ready to lead now. Because let me say again that every leader does, sometimes in a season, can catch their breath when they've been running hard. But identify the leaders that are ready to work now to go to the next level, starting with yourself. Are you a leader that's in a moment where you want to, and then identify who those people are, and then lock arms with them and help solve every one of their problems for the next 90 days. So that by the time you're done, you have a clarified 90-day plan of what you're going to do, and then start going and telling the world your plan. You know, I'm on a journey to diamond. And over the next 90 days, I'm turning up the heat. I'm going to do this and this and this and this, because people respond to that. Because you know how many people can tell you where they're on the road to and what they're going to do in the next 90 days to get there? Very few. That's why so many people take jobs, so somebody else can tell them what they're going to be doing for the next 90 years of their life. And it's still in 90-day increments, because we are seasonal. But it's different. It's a different story. They're on a different path. Everybody's working 90-day cycles, working to the calendar. Christmas comes every year. For a lot of people, it's like one never-ending thing with vision that isn't very big. For other people, it's where was I last year? Where am I today? Applaud yourself, because everybody who's here is comfort. Where am I going to be next year? Where am I going to be at Christmas? Where am I going to be at 4th of July? And that's a good midpoint. That's about halfway between now and the next 90 days. Is the 4th of July, which is a wonderful day to celebrate and take stock. So now it's not even a 90-day run. It's a 90-day plan, a 6-week run, a wonderful holiday weekend to recharge and celebrate with all that you accomplished in the last 6 weeks, adjust if something didn't work out exactly the way you wanted it to, and move on to the next half of that cycle, which is the rest of that 90-day cycle. And when you do that, by the time you do that, we're moving into the fall. And the kids are going back to school, and business starts to go like this again, because all these people whose attention was diverted, now they have free time. So we know they're coming, but you want to be ready. You don't ever want to be getting ready. You want to be ready to go on day one for other people. With their day one, you want to be locked and loaded and fully armed to help them, not sit there and wait while I go figure it out because I was kind of kicking back. So it's always important to be cognizant of what's going on, to asking questions, and to be working your plan. And if your plan is not 100% about recruiting, in which case certain times of the year will be very disappointing for you, because no matter how good you are, they will certainly produce less than other times of year. Other times of year. If you are working well-rounded business, then there's so much more to the business than recruiting. You will know exactly when we move into this time of the year, this is when we move into this. And we know when we move into this time of year, this is when we move into this. And we know that after an event, we circle everybody up and we see how we make, take all that positive energy and that excitement and that shared vision that we call it, that we have at events, because that's where we all go to them, and we put it into play. What are we going to do with that over the next week, over the next 30 days, over the next 90 days? Because where are we going? And that is really the key job of leadership. It's to know where you're going and to have a vision that a great many people will find compelling, a dream, and to be able to articulate it in such a way that other people will want to go with you on the journey. And everything else we do is all built around that. The last line, so that other people will want to go with you on the journey and make it their own. It becomes our journey. And if you get hit by a bus, it becomes their journey. And that's really what you're going for. So I would encourage everybody to really celebrate where you are, reward yourself, applaud it. It's no small thing. It's no small thing to start a business and to still be there a month later when you really maybe didn't have a lot of business experience. It's no small thing. Every new product user that you acquire, every new person that joins your team, these are all the steps on the way to where you're going. And what you're not really going for is a pin. That's just the yard marker on the road. You're going to the point in your life where you believe that the possibilities for your life are endless, and that through your own efforts and people that you will collaborate with along the way, that the only limits on you will be those you set on yourself, because maybe you want to retire at some point, but you'll never feel like you have to. So that's kind of my take on the seasons and network marketing, and respecting them, enjoying them, but never losing sight of the fact that they are there and they will affect your business in terms of recruiting numbers. But a good, smart leader gets excited at that time of year, because now that the recruiting numbers are not at their peak of the year, they can focus on next year's events and next week's team meeting and how to make everybody feel empowered and the contests you want to run. And you need time to think. All of us have had momentum grab us by surprise and been playing catch up with ourselves, but you don't want to play catch up forever. And people that forget to take advantage of time that is offered them to sort it all out and set a new goal and a new plan with a new strategy find themselves sometimes 10 years down the road working in a manner that was very innovative and forward thinking 10 years ago, but all of a sudden it's like, how did I become a dinosaur? Because you're not aware of what's going on around you, because we just keep going. So take thought breaks. Breaks in the doing, to do some of the time observing and the thinking, so that you can improve the doing. You can make the doing as efficient as is possible, and encourage and foster that in others, and put together masterminds and round tables to address those things that produce everybody else, that produce a good result for everybody, that grows everybody's business quicker. So that's kind of my take on that, Broome. Thoughts and questions from you?
I really like the part about locking arms and getting together and running with the people that are have the same goal and vision as you, but then come back around and make sure that people have their questions answered and people are well taken care of. And I love the locking arms part of it. And I really liked that you said that even people that have been in this for years and years, are still searching to be able to do.
Always.
Because honestly, for me, that's what I do. But I have, we all have some of those self-doubts and
Oh,
all of
yeah.
that. And so for me, it's like, what am I doing wrong? I need to find more. I need to find more. And so
And you're
I
never
like,
doing
I like
anything
that.
wrong. You're just not doing it as well as you're going to one day.
Right. Right. So that was helpful for me. I liked that.
Well, I just have so much fun being with you, and we're on the same clock. And now in the next few days, we can catch up ourselves without ever
Yes.
somebody having to either get up at the crack of dawn or stay up to 2 in the morning. And for those of you that are watching, this week, I would encourage you to make a list of the 10 best things, the 10 things you and your team do best, and the 5 things that you feel you could improve upon. I'm very Chinese in my thinking. You know, in America, we're somewhat skeptical. We say, yeah, I had a bad year. Next year will have to be a good one, a 1-to-1 ratio. They think that if you have 3 bad years, you get 6 good ones. You know, so I'm in this 2/3. So 10 good things and 5 you could improve on. That's always, so we're gonna go 2/3 good, 2/3 what's working, and 1/3 of what could work better, and get rid of all the negative language, because this is exciting times. You know, the industry is growing and your company is growing. I mean, I'm hearing rumors of, you know, this is going to be your $1 billion year at over at doTERRA, which is unbelievable to me. I mean, that's, you know, we're seeing that happen for not a lot, but certainly more companies than we ever did for 20 years. It was like the same old hitting those numbers. And now you've got new players, which just proves how much it works and that you're in the right place at the right time. You've got all these markets opening up. I pass by your Hong Kong office every single day. We are on the 13th floor and they are on the 13th floor of the same building. So it's pretty cool. And also to do the TED Talk thing. I think you're going to be, if you've done it, teach it to someone else on your team. It is going to amaze you.
I actually did the TED Talk and I listened. I did the video that you talked about. I searched it out, loved it. And I was taking notes, and I actually did a webinar the other day. And so that was actually really helpful when I was putting my webinar together. I was able to utilize what you had talked about and then what that TED Talk was about as well. It was very, very good.
Because I mean, obviously it wasn't about network marketing, and yet I got so much out of it, you know, to apply to my network marketing business. It blew my mind. And actually, Remy, I'll send you one I just watched that's also quite wonderful. And it's very interesting. And I'll tell you what's also interesting is when you start to study people, you know, I was so impressed with Adam Braun. You watched it, obviously. And I just thought his demeanor and the things he's in his youth and all they learned. And I obviously made this commitment that I'm going to go support Pencils for Promise. But just to show you how there's always these families that happens to everybody, I said to my youngest daughter, do you know who Adam Braun is? And she said, oh, yeah. Scooter Braun's younger brother. And I'm thinking, what's the brother got to be like if this kid who's done all this is like the younger brother? And Scooter Braun actually discovered Justin Bieber and is huge in the entertainment field. I mean, the youngest one was on the 30 under 30 for Forbes. His brother is on the 40 under 40. So how'd you like to be in that family, accomplish all that he's done, and you're still somebody's baby brother?
Wow, that's fantastic.
You know, it's perspective, but
yeah.
I enjoyed that one. I enjoy a lot of them. I just watched a talk not too long ago by, I watched the Simon Sinek talk again, Start With Why. If you've not watched that, but then I watched his new one called Leaders Eat Last. Fantastic. Fantastic. You know,
right.
and what's interesting is I didn't expect to be as wowed as I was with Start With Why, because I never heard of it with Start With Why. You know, so I went to this saying, well, I'm sure he's going to be good. He was good the last time. But the material was so relevant. I was like, well, if I take the wow, I'd never heard of him, he's really impressive, that takes me out of a ton of work. This one made me better than Start With Why, which is probably one of my favorite TED Talks of all time. Well, I miss you all. I'm home for 3 weeks. Lauren is graduating. And I will be, we'll be up here. We'll be back next Tuesday. I don't know if it'll be Curtis or me or both of us. I'm thinking him, because you've had me for 2 weeks. And after 3 weeks, I get old. So I like to make sure I spice it up by giving you something better than me. But congratulations to all of you. You're doing amazingly well. You've got fantastic leadership. It was really fun, you know, to hang out with your husband last week, because I'm going to do that often. So we had fun, although we've now done 2 together. And love and hugs to everybody.
Thank you so much for being here. You look great for being right on the tail end of jet lag. You look awesome, and I'm really glad that you're on our time zone for a little bit. So
me too. I think I'm going to stay a month. So
yeah. All right, everybody, thanks for coming, and I encourage you to share this with your team. Make sure that everybody listens to it, because it's just going to be good for them. So have a great night, everybody.
You guys have a great night. Love and hugs. Bye.
Bye.